It wasn't enough time for me to brake, so I slid under the 18-wheeler. And from there, I was unconscious for I don't know how much time. I was just in shock that I lived. I was in shock I was, breathing. Since the accident, I worry the effects the accident had on me is now being passed on to my children. I worry that I am not going to be the mother I used to be. I am only 27 years old. I know my kids deserve more than what they're getting now, but there's just some days where I don't even want to move. I just want to be in bed. One of my greatest fears is living with this pain, disfigurement, scarring forever. Hello, my name is Daisy Olveda. I was born and raised in Del Rio, Texas. I've lived there all my life. I am currently 27 years old. I'm a single mother of 2 kids, a son who is 7 years old and a daughter who is 5. I am currently going to school for my bachelor's. I plan to graduate in the year of 2024. I graduated from Del Rio High School in 2016. I went to school to obtain my associates. I graduated with my associates in criminal justice in 2021. And I just wanted a break for myself. So I planned, I had my savings account and income was coming soon. So in 2022, the beginning of it, I was just my own stay-at-home mom, living life at home with my children. So it was just great, my own break, and I planned on going back to school that August of 2022. So for the time being, I was looking at little, side jobs or something I could do, just at my own pace. And I found this job that was just like, just deliver groceries that people order from Walmart. I believe it was just I believe it was called Spark Driver or something like that. You just pick up the groceries on curbside and pick up and deliver them to the houses. So that day, May 24th, was my first order. I was approved, passed my background check and all the fun stuff for that little job position. But May 2024th, I was home all day with my kiddos, I got my first order for Spark Driver. I went to Walmart curbside, got the groceries product, put in my car. The destination was already set on the phone. So as I was driving towards Highway 90, it was a little bit out of city limits. So I delivered the first order. The next destination was already set on my phone. So I'm heading towards that direction. As I turn back onto Highway 90, I'm driving down at the normal speed limit, and I see I saw an 18-wheeler coming out of Lake Ridge area. Out of Lake Ridge area, I noticed he was right before the stop sign. I assumed he was going to stop, so I kept going. And as I'm coming closer, I notice he passes the stop sign, does not stop. And he comes across all lanes of traffic. Once I realized the 18-wheeler wasn't going to stop, I slammed my brakes to what felt like forever. I skidded about over 160 feet, and there was nowhere to go, so I accepted that I was going to hit head on. I tried my best to brake before hitting the 18-wheeler, but it was just short of time. It wasn't enough time for me to brake, so I slid under the 18-wheeler. And from there, I was unconscious for I don't know how much time. When I woke up, I noticed I was still alive. And I just remember myself screaming. No one was at my door yet. I realized that I hit the 18-wheeler. I realized that I was underneath that 18-wheeler. As I was just screaming and screaming for someone to get me out, I felt like it felt like forever for anyone to get to me. I felt like I wasn't going to get out of there. I couldn't believe I was alive. I couldn't believe I was breathing. I couldn't believe I sustained such a hard hit. And I'm just screaming, get me out of here. I couldn't move. I could just move my arms and my legs. I couldn't move my back. As I was screaming for help and for someone to get me out of the car, I noticed the first responders had shown up. They were on all sides of the vehicle. They surrounded the vehicle, asking if I was okay, if I could move my legs, if I could move my arms. And that's when I realized I couldn't move my neck. I couldn't move my back. All I could move was my limbs, my arms and my legs. I started kicking for them to just get me out, get me out. I just wanted to get out of that car. And once the first responders were there, they were trying different options to get me out of that vehicle. Since I was underneath the 18-wheeler, my vehicle was stuck completely. As they were looking for different options to get me out of that vehicle, I remember they tried to cut the car from the back ends to get me out, and they eventually just ended up, I believe, just pulling me out from my pants, from the belt holders in my pants. They just pulled me out as I couldn't move. I felt like I was a dummy or a doll, not being able to move. They just dragged me on, and I'm there screaming with excruciating pain, unbelievable pain. As I was in the ambulance, I'm never going to forget just crying in silence how shocked I was that I was alive. I was pulled out from the vehicle and transported to the hospital by ambulance. I remember my experience wasn't great. I was just in shock that I lived. I was in shock I was, breathing. Once I was at the hospital, they, transported me to the MRI rooms, and, we're checking if, I was able to walk still. After the accident, I noticed my shoulder was in pain. I noticed my back was in pain. I had some hip discomfort. I have scarring on both of my arms. With the scarring, I am very self-conscious of my appearance. My scarring is also a reminder of what happened. With my scarring, I don't like to show any of my scars because I get asked questions, what happened there? And that's another reminder of, a playback in my mind. What happened? What happened that day? And that's something I have to live with the rest of my life. I also had an appointment with the plastic surgeon to review my scarrings and disfigurements. And he let me know he couldn't do much with it. And if there was some procedures to be done, I'll still be left with scarring. So with that, I have to live with the scarring I have. I also find myself unattractive with these scars. I just feel ugly. I feel ugly. I don't feel young and beautiful like I should. I feel like constantly I have to think about what I'm going to wear to hide these scars. Since the accident, I have dealt a lot with anxiety, depression. I avoid when I drive, I avoid being near any 18-wheelers. From then, I stayed home. Life was different at home. The first few days, the first week, the first 2 weeks, I would scream getting out of bed. It was hard, just being the normal mom I was. Since then, I have had 4 procedures done. I've had 4 procedures of injections done on my neck and my back, all the areas that I have pain in. I have had a separate shot to my right shoulder and a separate shot for pain on my right shoulder. Still feeling discomfort. Later, I did receive a surgery, another procedure to maintain the pain I have. And I've also gone to physical therapy. There's been some improvement. With physical therapy and all, it hasn't been the same. My body's not the same. I am not the same. The pain I have is when I go to sleep, before I go to sleep, when I wake up, all throughout the day, I'm reminded of the accident. It's hard for me to sleep. I can't move like I used to. It's hard for me to move in a swift manner. So, they see that difference a lot. My daughter is 5 years old. I used to bathe her myself. I can't do that anymore. My life before the accident was very different from what it is now. My kids are the most important thing to me. Before, we would do different activities every other weekend. We'll either go out of town, or even go to the park, or just random things, something to keep them occupied. Now I try to do the same, but it's just different for me. It's hard for me. My kids see me in pain sometimes and they ask me, "Mommy, what's wrong? What's wrong, Mom?" And I just let them know my back hurts, my arm hurts. It's very different when I'm cooking, bathing them, even doing homework with them. I experience the pain when I'm sitting down. I was working at the hospital for a brief time and it was hard for me to do my work. I had to adjust, myself to get up or so forth, just to not feel the pain as much. Since the accident, I worry the effects the accident had on me is now being passed on to my children. I worry that I am not going to be the mother I used to be. I am only 27 years old with pain a 6-year-old or maybe a 7-year-old should be feeling. And I don't think it's fair for my kids. And I don't think it's fair for me. I know my kids deserve more than what they're getting now. But there's just some days where I don't even want to move. I just want to be in bed. With the pain I feel, I can't even do my homework. I sit down to do my homework and I either have to be hunched back or relaxed on the couch or laying down. I have to be moving positions swiftly just to avoid the pain I feel. One of my greatest fears is living with this pain, disfigurement, scarring forever. I worry how this will affect my children. How this will affect my future children if I ever have any more. I worry about my future. This accident has affected my future by putting, my planned beginning school again in 2022, August of 2022. It put a halt to my plans a whole year. I began going to school again August of 2023. And I hope to be graduating with my bachelor's degree in psychology one day. I don't know where I'll be in a few years. I don't know if this pain will affect the ability of me sitting down for constant periods of time. I plan on joining, the criminal justice field as in, border patrol, a police officer. But I remind myself, the back pain, the shoulder pain, can I handle it? Can I carry the 150-pound dummy during the agility course? I have to remind myself, I have to be careful with what I set myself out to if I can't do it due to the physical pain. I felt like every time I'll be in a passenger car or anything, that I was going to crash, or someone was going to be, or someone was just, we were going to crash. Since the accident, every day I wake up, or even midday throughout the day, before I go to sleep, I pray to God and I thank Him for another borrowed day. I ask Him to please take away the anxiety, the depression, and then more importantly, the pain. I ask Him to take away the pain every day and to make me whole again. I pray for Him to take care of me, to take care of my kids and my family. But most importantly, I ask for another borrowed day.